Alright, welcome. Second game. So the first game was won by Hakim. Let's see if he can continue his win streak. Okay, so there is one hack that I want to teach you guys. Is picking KOTL for your early game. Because KOTL has a built-in spell. He has a free Guardian Scepter at level 1. So what this means is that he has that ball spell. I can't remember what it's called. Let's see what it's called. Will Wisp, sorry. Yeah, he has Will Wisp at level 1 onwards because he has a free Guardian Scepter. So that's a very good control ability. Yeah. So if you can get a KOTL when you're rolling your heroes, just buy it and hold it for the first few levels, and then you can sell it off later.
Victory.
I see there's a Tiny in the hero pool again. So who wants to bet that Hakiman would use the Tiny again? So looking at this hero pool, it's probably all jumpers. There isn't much range carries here actually. So it's all about initiation this game. Who can get the initiation fast and burst down the opponent team fast enough. So as usual, early game you want to have one carry. You can have a lone druid if you want, but I don't particularly like a lone druid because a lone druid, yes, it's very strong early game because its bear is 2k HP or probably a lot of HP early game, but it falls off very quickly when your opponent has physical damage. Yeah. And it gets busted down very easily. It's better to have a more traditional tank instead of a lone druid. Actually, this game you could probably go for Bristleback or Spectre, because there isn't much heroes that can break your passive abilities. There is no Shadow Demon, there is no Doom here, so you could go for a Spectre, Bristleback. Those are quite decent heroes. Until the opponent gets enough damage to actually burst you down, these two heroes will do quite well, including Timbersaw as well. X is very important in this game because most of the carries here are melee carries, and X can actually control them really well. With a Guardian Scepter on X, you will actually have a lot of armor when you call them, 7 additional armor per affected target. So this actually gives you a lot of tankiness and durability when dealing with those melee carries.
Victory.
Death Prophet is actually really good here as well, because since everyone has all tanks actually has high HP, right, and it's quite hard to burst them down. What Death Prophet is so good at is that it has this spell called Spirit Siphon. Spirit Siphon deals damage based on your max HP as damage, so it does not matter how much HP you have. You could be a Centaur with 20k HP. Spirit Siphon will still do percentage based HP damage based on your HP, so 5.5%, which is a lot of damage. And this could be further spell end by getting a Bloodstone. Trend Protector is also another very important spell. Trend Protector is a very important hero, because its root actually traps a lot of heroes in the AoE. And since they're all melee heroes here, it would actually trap most of them, since they'll be jumping to you. So you just need to get an A on this BKB refresher. Tiny is really good here as well, because most of the heroes are melee, like I mentioned, so they will probably be in your 3 toss range, your 3 volley range. A good combo here is probably maybe you can go for a Tiny, Magnus and SVEN, something like that for your late game. Early game you can go for a Warlock and is there a Witch Doctor here? Yeah, you can go for a Witch Doctor, Warlock and Jakiro. Even though tanks are very tanky, but Jakiro is really good because he deals pure damage with Guardian Scepter, and it takes time for them to actually walk forward. So when your Jakiro casts his ulti, Microfire will actually burn them for this amount of distance, which is very nice.
Radiant victory.
Normally Tusker is quite good in kicking range carries out of position, but because this game is predominantly range carries, melee carries, Tusker is not very useful here, because there's no point kicking a melee carry back to your team. That's like a free blink dagger for the opponent's carry. So for me, my ideal lineup would be something like a Bristleback, Warlock, Witch Doctor, and then I'll get a Tiny. I have an Axe. I'll play the front line as well, obviously, and then my Axe would be a teleporter hero, teleport all the way to the back, so that he can jump in when the opponents are clustered up here. And then I'll have a Magnus and probably a SVEN or something. And then you definitely need a Trend Protector as well for the late game, and then early game you can have another Jakiro, so that's probably 7 heroes already. Late game the 8th hero will be depending on how I want to counter my opponent's lineup. Probably could take a Elder Titan. Elder Titan's ulti is still really good. Normally Slapfire is quite a strong hero because he scales well from the early to the late game. Early to mid game he has Mortimer's Kisses. You can just get a refresher up and he does a lot of damage. And late game you can transition him to a carry with the level 20 and level 25 Leaf Shredder talent. But the problem here is that if everyone is jumping your face, then it's really hard for you to survive because you have low armor. And it's quite awkward because your damage comes from casting this spell to deal damage. You do not deal damage from your attack speed, so your damage is not constant. You have to be casting this spell. But with so much melee carries, they will probably have Abyssal Blades and Assassin Medals, so your damage output will be inconsistent and you are very easily bursted down, even though you're a strength hero, because you have very low agility, very low armor. Alright, so you see the problem with Black Crow here is that Bristleback is good, Bristleback is fine, these are all fine heroes, but SVEN, Tiny and Magnus, Magnus might not require items, but Tiny and SVEN both require multiple items for them to be useful. So effectively, he only has one, two heroes only. Only the Bristleback could be doing damage. The other two heroes are not that effective. So he should probably have went for Witch Doctor or Jakiro or Warlock or even a Pagna for early game damage, and then sell it off mid game to build your Tiny, so that you do not lose that much health while going for your end game lineup. A lot of people make this mistake of rushing for your end game lineup straight away. But when you do this, you might not even hit the game or 1v1 stage because you were too greedy in trying to build too many item intensive heroes straight up. So you just think of it like a Dota game. You have your different roles. You have your 1 position, your carry, your mid row, you have your off lane, and you have your supports 4 and 5. So Magnus in a sense is more like a 5 support for now because you just want his empower, that's all. And then Black Crow is playing a Tiny and a SVEN, which is position 1, and then you have Bristleback, which is a position 2 or 3. So when this happens, you require too much item investment for you to be effective or for you to actually be useful in team fights. So this is a very big problem. When you go for Warlock or Witch Doctor, they just need cheap items like Aghanim and Refresher. So these 2 items alone, they could be dealing huge AoE damage with very minimal items. This is more useful and cost effective. And then you can change that Aghanim and Refresher, put it on a Tiny later. So that's a good way of transitioning from the mid game to the late game. So you're not actually wasting your items because these items can be transferred easily. Yeah, so Black Crow, he's going to have a very big problem unless he makes some changes to his lineup because his lineup is too late game oriented. For Roger, I think he's still okay. At least he has a Warlock, but he needs to pump his Warlock with an Aghanim and Refresher. He has an X. X is at least more decent than Tiny because Berserker's score early game is actually very good. He just needs a dagger to jump to the back line. Yeah, so this lineup is quite decent for early game. You have a Death Prophet, you have your Pit Lord, and you have your Lone Druid. Pit Lord is actually very useful because what this happens is that your Spirit Bear will actually raw your first unit. So let's say your opponent's Shrine Protector reaches here, you raw him back. So he would be in the same line as your range heroes. And then the Pit Lord will throw his Pit, and this would trap most of the enemy units here. And then you can follow it up with your Death Prophet Silence and your Swarm. So I think this Bristleback is going to carry this team fight. He has a Eternal Shot already, so he probably can do a decent amount of damage. Yeah, but the problem is that Underlord Firestorm does HP % damage, so you need to be careful of that as well. If you're playing Bristleback, make sure you have a Blink Dagger to jump into the enemy's backline, because if you're just in front, your Kill Spray will not actually be hitting many units, so always get the Blink Dagger. Do not upgrade to a Fallen Sky so quickly, because Fallen Sky and Blink Dagger is actually the same utility. You just want him to jump behind, and upgrading it to a Fallen Sky, it costs 4k gold, and it only provides a bit of additional strength and mana regen, so that's not very useful. It would be better if you went for Lotus Orb or BKB. So this is actually a really decent build, but you need to change the force staff to something else. If you change it to a blink dagger, I think that will be perfect. That's a very sad Skyrock mage. We need a BKB for this game. No, you're just going to get busted down really quickly.
Radiant victory.
Either a BKB or force bolt would be helpful actually. Alright, so you see the Bristleback has a green dagger. You will jump to the back and actually start skill spray. But the problem here is that most of the enemy units here, they are not actually right clicking the Bristleback. Death Prophet has Spirit Siphon. Spirit Siphon just deals electrical damage. So I don't think you will actually proc the Bristleback spell. If I'm not wrong, it's a HP removal spell instead of a damage spell. I could be wrong. And if it's a HP removal, I don't think you will proc the... okay, it's magical, yeah. Probably you'll proc. You activate the Bristleback Cool Spray. One thing to know about Warlock is that if you're playing Warlock, always disable the upheaval because upheaval does not give much value. If you do not have refresher off, it's probably fine. But when you have a refresher off, the upheaval would actually delay your second ulti. And when you cast your third spell, Warlock would not have enough mana to drop the second rock unless you have Aeon Beast or Aether Lens. Yeah. So it's better to just disable upheaval.
Radiant victory.
Yeah, so you see his Bristleback as an Assassin Medal. I think his Bristleback needs more armor. He's getting shredded by Snapfire's that spell, Armor Loss. Just needs more armor, and I think the Bristleback could be doing some damage. You can go for a Lotus Orb and a Sword Curious or something. I'm not sure why this Spectre has an Aghanim Scepter, because Spectre has an innate Aghanim Scepter when you first buy him, like Keeper of the Light. So we do not need to buy an Aghanim Scepter for Spectre. Probably could be a free item, yeah. So in my previous video I mentioned that if you are playing melee carries who is jumping, it's better to play as a rear lane than a front lane. Because as you can see, once the BKB of SVEN runs out, he just dies straight away to the burst. So it's always better to play melee carries when you pick the rear lane priority.
Dire victory. victory.
Cuts both ways.
Well, you can see that everyone here is playing 4 heroes only. 2020. Everyone is in 2020. Because they are probably boosting just one hard carry. There's an X here, Bristleback here, I think there's a Tiny here. Tiny actually combos really well with a Keeper of the Light, because when you have a follow medal, you cast Chakra Magic on the Tiny, and this will reduce the 3 volleys cooldown by 6 seconds, I think. Yeah, so if you have a KOTL with a Tiny, you should just put a Follower's Medal. Yeah, X is really very good here actually for control. Yeah, so you can see here what happens is that the Lone Druid bear would actually fear it, and then Pilop will be able to cast its spell and catch more heroes that way.
Radiant victory.
Yeah, actually on second thoughts, partner might not really be very good here because everyone is melee, probably strength heroes, and their spells do not cost that much mana unless they are intel heroes. So probably you might not want to play partner here, just a Jakiro or Warlock would be better. Actually a Witch Doctor would be good because it heals HP based on percent. Heals 1% HP per second. And this could be further amplified by having a Holy Doctor. And since everyone is playing melee heroes, melee strength heroes, which is tankers, you actually heal quite a lot from Witch Doctor's aura.
Dire victory.
If you are playing Tiny, always go for your Gunning Shard upgrade because 3 grab with no charge limit is very important for you to get your cleave. If not, I think there is a limited number of charges here, as you can see. And then once you finish your charges, you will not be able to cleave anymore. So please always get a Gunning Shard. Another reason why Tiny is really good is that is there a craggy exterior here? I'm not sure actually. Okay, maybe there isn't. Yeah, but it deals very high AoE damage, and since everyone is in melee range, you'll most probably hit multiple targets with the 3 volley. And he has a Vengeful Spirit here with Vengeance Aura. What this does is that it increases base damage bonus by 32%. Most of Tiny's damage, 407, is base damage. So what this means is that when in battle, he will actually be boosting his damage by another 130, which is quite a significant amount of damage.
Radiant victory.
He needs to get a follow medal for his Keeper of the Light. Keeper of the Light needs Yondis and a follower's medal. Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker is possibly one of the most useless heroes so far in Dawn of War. He needs more buff for it to be viable. It's just too weak at the moment.
Radiant victory.
If the guy with Dawnbreaker can win the game, I would give you an immortal set. I'll give all of you an immortal set each.
Radiant victory.
For me, if I was playing Trend Protector, I would rather have my Trend Protector be delayed and be in the back line rather than in front. Because when he ulties, he will probably just ulti the Whistlebag or something. Yeah, it will not hit many targets. But if you are putting him at the back and then jumping in, you would hit both the front line and the back line when the heroes are actually stuck in between them. So that's actually more useful. A way to counter Tiny will be getting multiple Abyssal Blades
Radiant victory.
so that you can stop his 3 volley and stop him from right clicking. Wow, that ceremonial robe is actually pretty good. It reduces your enemy's status resistance by 30% and magic resistance by 50%. So it actually works very well when you're dealing magic damage on somebody.
Radiant victory.
Not sure why is he transferring his DPS item to a Rubik. That seems quite weird to me. And he's using his refresher shard so early in the game when he still has 47 life. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I guess like someone in the chat mentioned, you could probably use a Tasker and kick the Tiny out of battle all the way to your opponent's fountain. Since everyone is playing Tiny core or even a SVEN core, what you can do is use a Tasker with cheap items like a gun in BKB, Aeon D's Octarine core, put Assassin Medal and a dagger, and then just aim the Tiny or aim the SVEN, and then with your small investment, you're actually kicking your opponent's 40k investment out the window into your fountain. So you're using something like a 15k investment to counter a 40k hero item. And then by taking them out of the battle, your opponent does not have any more DPS.
Radiant victory.
So Death Prophet here is actually really good because, like I mentioned, the Spirit Siphon deals a fixed amount of damage based on their opponent's max HP. So as long as Death Prophet is able to survive past the opponent's double BKB refresher, most of the time the Death Prophet team will win because Spirit Siphon with Gunning Shard, it also acts as a disable because it fears the opponent when they are siphoned for 4 seconds consecutively. So that fear would actually be able to stop them from attacking, and then your heroes can actually beat them down. So the longer the fight drags on is better for Death Prophet team. Aeon this is actually quite, it's not really very good on SVEN because SVEN, you want him to be doing damage, but when the Aeon this actually activates, you're not able to do damage for that 2.5 seconds. That's 2.5 seconds of valuable time of BKB usage. You're wasting your 2.5 seconds of BKB not doing anything because you can't do damage. So I would rather you just go for another survivability item instead of Aeon this. can most probably delay your SVEN if you're afraid of team dying too quickly. Okay, I'm not sure if I've touched upon this yet, but the reason why you see all those carries going for KB and refresher, especially on Tiny and SVEN, is because they require the BKB duration. Basically, whoever's BKB runs out first, whoever loses. Because let's say SVEN BKBs run out first, Tiny is able to toss and avalanche the SVEN and beat him down, or SVEN could even get disabled. Or if Tiny's BKB runs out first, then he could also be disabled or stunned by Stormbolt or other disables. So BKB duration is actually very important. That's why you see some of them, actually every one of them are going for refresher, even though it does not give any damage for your carries. But by staying longer in a team fight, you're actually gaining more damage. Yeah. One thing I would do for SVEN is that I would not have upgraded it to Trident. Like I mentioned before, SVEN does not really benefit much from a Trident because an S and Y already gives good enough stats. All you're getting from a S and Y to a Trident is 14 agility, 14 strength and 14 intel, as well as your spell amplification. You do not really need that. You already have enough status resistance from your Senjanyasha. I would rather you spend that 5k for Moonshot or something which gives more DPS, or even a Beast Horn which gives more armor and strength, which will translate for more DPS as well.
Dire victory.
So you can see here, the first guy has actually taken a -5 supply talent. Yeah, this is because he's on top of the leaderboard, so he has enough health to play around, and his lineup is actually quite mid-game oriented with a Death Prophet, Pit Lord, and Lone Druid. So he needs the additional hero to scale well into late game. So as you can see, he up to level 25 with an extra neutral item, because now he's beginning the transition to late game by taking out his X. Yeah. Yeah, for Tusker, if you're playing Tusker, always have an Assassin Medal. Because you saw what happened just now, the Tusker actually kicked back the Axe and the Elder Titan. Those heroes, you do not want to be near them.
Radiant victory. Dire victory.
Yeah, someone in the chat mentioned a Tusker, sorry, an Elder Titan would be quite good here actually, because he has a very low cooldown ultimate, and these are all strength heroes that your ultimate will actually deal percentage HP percent base damage, so that's actually quite a lot of damage. Yeah.
Dire victory.
Oh, this event is actually doing a lot of damage. Imclaw with double impacts. I think one crit should be about 8,000 damage. To make him even stronger, you can put a Solar Crest on a Magnus. Magnus will cast Solar Crest on SVEN to give him more armor and attack speed. I think it was nerfed recently, so it does not give any more evasion or something, right? Yeah, okay, it gives less attack speed now, but it's still good. You can put a Bloodmus on a Magnus as well. Bloodmus gives damage based on your base stats, which is 18% bonus damage, and because your SVEN has close to 450 strength, you would actually gain about 80 damage. Yeah, and lifesteal as well. Yeah, so thanks for Naziro for doing the math. It's probably about 7,500 crit from SVEN.
Radiant victory.
The amount of crit with the cleave that SVEN can do could probably wipe out a team just from that one crit. Yeah, I don't like it when I see so many items on the floor. You should just take and sell all those items that you are not using and build better items for your heroes. There is so much wasted gold on the floor. So actually getting butterflies on Tinies might seem unorthodox, but it's a very good move because most of the melee carries here, they require too many item slots for them to buy an MKB. They need a BKB and a refresher, and then they also need Satanic, as well as maybe a Moonshot Pirate Hat. So they do not have slots for a Monkey King Bar. By getting a Monkey King Bar, you would reduce your either survivability or damage by quite a lot. So by going for butterflies, you're actually forcing your opponents to get MKB or something, a way to deal with you. Because with 2 MKBs, you will probably have about 50% evasion. So that's quite a lot to deal with. If you notice, he does not have standing anymore because he has a paladin sword, and paladin sword actually gives a lot of life steal, so it's good. Oh, that's a 5,000 crit.
Radiant victory.
Where is that 2 Apex event? Okay, let's follow this event. I want to see his damage. Where's the crit? Where's the crit? Is that a 8,000 crit? 9,000, 9,337. 9,337, man. Come on, let's see the unit. It's getting tighter. Oh my god. Come on, hit. Oh man.
Radiant victory.
Oh no, 7 is out. Yeah, but the crit was 9,300 just now I saw.
Time has been added.
Wow. So intense. Adding time during the 2v2 stages. It's not even 1v1 yet. And it's only 50 minutes. It's already 50 minutes in and there's still 6 players left. My normal pub games end in like 35 minutes to 40 minutes. This is really way longer than I would have played my pubs. Rubric carry is a cool idea. I think it could work, but not this game when there are so many jumpers. It's really hard to play Rubric to do that. I think the top guy has a very good chance of winning. All he needs is a Trend Protector now. And then he has enough disables to hold them down. So you hold them down while their BKBs are active. Once their BKB refresher are down, Death Prophet will actually disable them well with the Spirit Siphon. It does quite a lot of damage as well. Then you have X and Tiny. X is a very good control hero also, since they're all melees. It will be very easy to get a 5-man core or 6-man core. Alright, let's see if Hakim can do the 1% dream. 1% life. Oh no, Tusker got kicked by Tusker. Wait, this is a carry Tusker. This is not a support Tusker to kill for the back. This Tusker is actually trying to do damage. Yeah, so as you can see, the longer the fight drags out, Death Prophet team would win.
Radiant
Death Prophet
victory.
is just too strong when you drag the game out. So to buy time, you go to your shop. There's this item called Scroll of Time. It costs $1,500. But the issue here is that I think there's a bug, so there's no tooltip description. But yeah, it costs 1.5k to buy the book. His BKB is broken. I hope he notices and buys the Ogre Club. Sorry, buy the recipe. If not, he's going to be in for a very rude shock. Okay, he has Arrow Titan now. If he gets an Arrow Titan and a Trend Protector, I think he has a very high chance of winning. Yeah, he needs to do something about this, man. So much clutter.
Time has been added.
Oh my god, he has not figured out that his Tiny got his BKB broken. Ah man. This could be bad for him. Oh, the Tiny is not dead. He went to shower in the opponent's fountain and he's back now. Yeah, so as you can see, the longer the fight drags out, the better it is for Death Prophet Pitlord team. Sorry, Underlord. Because they're able to do constant damage. And they are very tanky and survivable as well. They can survive for a very long duration of time. So what Underlord's ulti do is that when his HP drops a certain level, he will cast Dark Reef, and anyone within the AoE of Dark Reef will actually be teleported back to the fountain. So this is actually a very good strat to drag the fights out as long as possible. Especially when you have SVEN and Tiny, you want them to run out of BKBs so that you can kill them with the spells. Okay, so as you see, the first ulti is coming out, so you send them back, and then you get a free reset. And with Aghanim you get 2 charges, so that is only the first charge. He's able to cast the second Dark Reef later if he needs to. Now their BKBs are all on cooldown. He's able to cast the Queen of Ice and Firestorm.
Radiant victory.
So you can see there's a Vengeful Spirit, but it's a carry Vengeful. Disable the Nether Sword so that you do not cast the sword and get trapped in an opponent's backline. Vengeful is actually very good as a support because Magic Missiles actually pierces BKB or spell immunity with the level 25 talent, and it provides the Vengeance Aura damage bonus, which is 48% with the talent. So as mentioned before, Tiny's damage mainly comes from base damage because of Uro. So this will actually amp up his damage by quite a lot. And coupled with the fact that he has Magnus to empower the Tiny, so Magnus has a lot of, Tiny has a lot of damage because of has his high base damage and a lot of cleave as well. Playing Warlock, you need an Aeon Disc. Aeon Disc is actually better than Black King Bar because when you activate your Aeon Disc, it gives you a status resistance, a very high status resistance, and you debuff through silencers and stuff, so you'll be able to drop the second drop. Late game Warlock's ulti does not do much damage. It's more of AoE disable because it pierces BKB as well. Yeah. So it's more of just an AoE stun that pierces BKB, which is quite useful for initiation purposes. Scarab Mage is actually really strong. Scarab and Death Prophet, they are really good where you drag the fight out as long as possible. I think the game is ending. Yeah, so yeah, because Dota TV cuts me off a few minutes before the game ends, so I'm not able to watch to the end. So yeah, you can take a guess who wins. I'm going to check the score now. Yeah, so the guy with the Underlord won. Okay, so that's it for game 2. I think there'll be a third game coming up. We'll just take a short break. Thanks for watching so far. Thanks guys.